Good morning, everyone. Like and subscribe. If you don't, pass the message on if you think the message is meaningful. So, how does Dave Chappelle's joke reflect the reason Obama was installed as a puppet president? Dave Chappelle told a joke, and many of you have heard this joke. And what Dave Chappelle did in this joke was he separated African Americans from Caucasian Americans. He separated African Americans from Caucasian Americans on the international level. On the international level. How? The joke was this. There was a plane full of passengers, and there were two black men on the plane. There was a terrorist on the plane, and when he stood up with his gun to take the plane and the passengers hostage, the two black men on the plane gave each other the thumbs up. And the key to that was he stated, terrorists do not take black hostages. Terrorists do not take black hostages. So why would a terrorist not take black hostages? The reason is the terrorist does not identify African Americans as a threat. The terrorists do not identify African Americans as the threat. They see us as a class of people within a class of people. They see us as a microcosm within the macrocosm of the United States that pretty much have no power or no authority, and they still see us as they would view themselves. And they would view themselves as victims of white supremacy. So they see a connection between African Americans and the hostility that they have to deal with from Caucasian Americans. He also stated in the joke that African Americans would be worthless as hostage. You call Washington and you say, hey, I have a bunch of African American hostages. They're going to hang the phone up on you. This can be compared to the young lady named Chantel Robinson, who was murdered in Mexico by her black friends, and the United States government has yet to do anything about it. They walked. As we all know, if that would have been a group of black women and the victim had been a white woman, that would have been investigated. I should not have called them terrorists. I should have called them hijackers. Because hijackers are just responding to the terror caused by terrorists. Because when we go back to the United States, you look at the Black Panthers. They were called terrorists. They were not terrorists. They were responding to the terror of racism. Is what they were. So let me rephrase this and call these men hijackers. So let's look at the Obama presidency. And a lot of us knew that he was going to become president beforehand, the way the white media used him. They just built him up like he was this person, and we knew he was going to do this and be this great person because he made this great speech 4 years later, blah, 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 blah. But what this message sent to the world was now, the message is sent is that we control this black man, this African American. He does whatever we tell him to do, and he will be as much a threat to you as any white supremacist is. He is our puppet president. He does what we tell him to do. So no, he is not going to save you. He is not going to save you. He is going to do exactly what we tell him to do. This can be illustrated with when Bin Laden. Because I'm going to tell you this, 9/11 was an inside job. If you ever seen a building being demolished, you know that was an inside job. Also, and I believe it was in the 1940s, a bomber accidentally flew into the Empire State Building, and it damaged 2 floors. That's it. It damaged 2 floors. They repaired the 2 floors and went on about their business. An airplane, and since that time, skyscrapers have been built to be airplane proof. An airplane is not going to bring down a skyscraper. In fact, a earthquake won't bring down a skyscraper nowadays because of the way they're made. But getting back to the point. So when he got credit for the Bin Laden incident, but if you notice where he sat while this incident was going on, while they filmed this incident, he sat off in a corner in a small chair, bent over. There was a white man sitting at the head of the table. In fact, everyone at the table was white. Even Hillary Clinton had a seat at the table, and he's sitting in a corner, bent over, just like a puppet. Later on, when asked about this, they made him out of a hero for doing it by saying that he was letting the general do his job and blah, 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 blah. But he is supposed to be the president, who is the commander-in-chief of all the armed forces. Would Trump have been sitting there? Would Nixon? Would Bush? Would any president been sitting in the corner stooped over? And see, what the message was to the internationally, the message was, we own black people. They do what we tell them to do. Do not expect sympathy from them. They are expendable though. Still, do not expect us to concern ourselves with your taking black hostages. They are what they were 100 years ago, and we treat them just the same. And all that is wrapped in the joke by Dave Chappelle. All of that is wrapped in the joke by Dave Chappelle. Don't take we are going to use them to do they are going to do what we tell them to do, but taking them as hostage, they are expendable. And we see that when we look at what happened in Tennessee. The 5 police officer who killed the black man, they were immediately fired and brought up on charges. The white man was not, until the police chief, the black woman, was told it's okay. You can put him on administrative leave. Another example of Obama, Trayvon Martin and Zimmerman. Eric Holder, Obama's district attorney, could have, I don't know if district attorney is the right word for him, but anyway, he could have brought Zimmerman up on federal charges for violating Trayvon Martin's right. But he found nothing wrong. Every black person in this country knew that what Zimmerman did was wrong, and the police told him to leave the young man alone, and he followed the young man, and he had a gun. So common sense tells us if he had a gun, he wasn't in fear of his life. Obama let him get away with it. There were more shootings of black individuals unarmed under Obama administration than probably existed back in the 1950s. And we can also bring up the situation in Flint, Michigan with the water. That water crisis happened a year and a half time left on his presidency. He had a year and a half left in office, and he did nothing about that. Eric Holder retired. He retired because he never did anything anyway. I guess the pressure was on him to retire. He never did anything to help black people. Obama never did anything to help black people. And if you look, and what's really embarrassing about it is that, have you ever seen a president sing and dance as much as Obama? I mean, he danced and sang more than Bojangles. And I think that because the tenure of Obama was so profitable to white supremacists and their racist agenda, they've been implementing. You see black mayors jumping up all over the place. You see black police jumping up all over the place. And they are more a threat to the black community than white supremacists are, because they seem to take it one step further, just to prove their loyalty to racism. And this is how the joke by Dave Chappelle mirrors the Obama presidency in its message. The message is, oh yeah, black people African Americans are a threat to you. African Americans are a threat to you, and we will use them against you. And if you take them hostage, we don't care. Puppets are expendable. With that, like and subscribe, and talk to you later.